Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of the Weekend Grill. I'm Adrian Deha, and with me here today again, I'm surprised he made it back.
Just
Paul Italiano.
I'm only just recovering.
Still.
How are you, mate? It's been a long weekend, mate. It's been a real tough weekend.
Yeah, no doubt considerably longer, considering Collingwood lost to Carlton on the weekend.
You would have enjoyed that?
Yeah, somewhat.
Somewhat?
Yeah.
Only a little?
Yeah. There's a few receipts to cash. There's a few text messages I've sent out.
I've seen Fat Maloney with his receipts, counting them with his buffalo mozzarella. Just remind him, there's still another 4 rounds to go. So we don't want to repeat it last year, do we,
Well,
Michael?
we don't. And speaking of 4 rounds to go, well, we're going to get on to what we're going to speak about, which weekend results over the weekend. Again,
ridiculous.
The ladder predictor's gone. I mean, forget it. The Giant Killers, GWS. Are we still sleeping on them? We're gonna find out. I think a lot of people have disregarded what they've been able to do. I, for one, haven't. I'll be interested to see what you have to say about them.
I've been sleeping on them. 7 in a row.
No dramas. We'll get into it. September run. So again, the last 4 rounds now. We're reaching the apex now. Like it's getting hot. The season's heating up, which is good. Speaking of hot, Who's Cooking also comes back. So I'll be interested to see if there's any changes to your top 5 players and teams, mate. Don't reckon you're going to eat your slice of humble pie there, but we'll see how we go.
Not.
And also a round 21 preview. So let's get into it. Weekend results Friday night.
Jeez.
I mean, the build-up was there. Carlton, Collingwood, MCG. 90,000. I think they got just short of it. Circa.
Were you there?
86,000.
How was it? What did it look like at the ground? What were your observations?
What were my observations like prior to the game? Okay. It looked pretty empty, but then we worked out why. There were a few train mishaps, which were made known to us by the people sitting around us. And I was thinking, this crowd's going to be looking a bit low. And on the concourse, obviously, it was packed, but I was there pretty early. I was there at about 10 past 7. Yep. And it looked very, very empty. The game lived up in what I thought lived up to standard. It was a high-intensity game, and Carlton weren't there to muck around. Carlton were there to play. They had somewhat of a point to prove after it would be fair to assume that, their previous 5 wins, I wouldn't say had question marks, but I don't think they answered every question. And I still don't think Carlton's answered every question, but what I will say is the performance on Friday, from what I saw, ticked a lot of boxes. And I think a lot of people are sitting back in their seats now. They're a bit rocked. We'll put it that way. Yourself, Paul, what did you see?
No, it was a good win. I was big on, like you said, I had asterisks against your wins. I thought they were weak, teams that you had to beat.
Yep.
But, geez, there's no way, no better team to beat to prove that Carlton could be top 4 contenders now.
What did you have on the weekend?
What do you mean, what did I have?
It's a change of attitude. What's going on?
A bit of humble pie Friday night.
I told you we'd win.
No, I honestly thought it was a real, not arrogant, overconfident Collingwood playing. I think they just waltzed in. There was a lot of contests that, they went in a bit light. There was a bit of footage in Dacos who, had the stutter steps. And I honestly think it's a good loss just to have leading up to finals. I think it just puts them on notice saying, hang on, we can't play 80% because the competition's tight. You need to bring. And it happens though. You win every game. I think they've won, I don't know what it is.
Since the Melbourne game.
Yeah, I think it's 10 in a row.
Since
something
King's
like that.
birthday, which was round 14.
Yeah.
So
7
in a row.
They won 7 in a row.
Yep.
You go interstate. You beat supposedly the next best team interstate. Tough game too in the rain. They're probably a little bit on the.
Would you think it's fair to say that Collingwood were probably a bit wound up for that Port Adelaide game, and were probably a bit bruised and battered in a way, or a bit of a. It was the does that make sense?
I'd love to see how they review it and where the numbers tracked of how the players.
Is there anything that you saw on Friday night from a Collingwood angle that concerned you? Because just before I get what you want to say. What I noticed in the game was a very lazy Collingwood, and I also don't think it's a lot to worry about. But there was an incident about 3 or 4 weeks ago in your VFL when Ash Johnson was very arrogant in what he was doing. And I just wonder if that's the culture currently as it stands at Collingwood, whether they think things are just going to be too easy for them. I'm not insinuating anything, but there's a few things that I'm noticing that, you know, they're a bit too cool at the moment. And I noticed that on Friday night, and that's not taken away from Carlton.
Carlton were good.
Carlton were harder.
Yeah.
Carlton were braver. They were tougher. They wanted it more. Their intensity was tenfold of Collingwood's, and Collingwood were not at the races.
No.
Collingwood did not rock up.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think Carlton stifled Collingwood. I'm not undermining the way Carlton played.
But Collingwood's coming off a game, sluggy conditions, interstate, big game. That was a tough game. It was brutal, that game, right? A lot of the commentary after was how intense it was, how brutal, and the emotions that go with it. And then you come back to Melbourne, you know, you ask your are they tired? Are they sore? All these certain things with the boys. And you, like you said, it can come across arrogant or they just sluggish. Like they just didn't have the tempo. And then you're coming against a team who's fighting for their season, against a team who they're 3 games top. Well, they were two games top. They still are 2 games top. But is the hunger there?
I don't think that should be a point of relevance at this time of the year. Is the hunger there? What I mean, Paul, tell me what Collingwood have achieved in the last 2 years, aside from being currently at the top of the table. What do you mean is the hunger there? This is where I think Collingwood at the moment are a bit, well, in my opinion, have been a bit too laconic, way too cool. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And I just wonder, is that the culture at their club? I personally don't think it is, but I'm asking you, is that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I think they've been pretty, look, the Ash Johnson, it was an isolated, incident.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. I think the way, like McRae and they're quite professional.
Yep.
I think a lot of people get caught up. This is only the 3rd loss for the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You look at how dominant Geelong was last year.
Yep.
The way Collingwood's tracking, they're going to have, providing they win their last 4, they'll finish with a better win-loss. I think Geelong only lost 4 games for the year.
Yep.
Collingwood's only lost 3 games
5.
for the year.
They were 4 and 5 after round 9.
Well, there you go. They lost 5 games. So to lose 3, it's
4 and 5 after round 9.
Especially how tight the competition is.
Yep.
You'd have to say it's a solid year.
Yep.
If you told me before the year in round 21, Collingwood only lost 3 games.
Yep.
Geez, you can't. It's a long season. It's a long war. It's
a marathon. It genuinely is a marathon.
You say it's a marathon. And it's like the NBA. You can't win every game. There's going to be games where you're coming off a short break or a game that's so high intense that you're just emotionally exhausted. And like I said, the Blues were hot too.
Never have I ever rocked up to an AFL game being more confident of Carlton winning.
Yeah, okay.
I have my reasons, you know that, but I'm sick and I've got issues, and I've got issues. But
look,
I rocked up to that game as a genuine spectator of the theatre. I was excited to see what happened. Carlton were hot, as we said. I mean, look, I don't think it's the be all and end all for Collingwood. I still think
most definitely not.
I still think there's a lot of lessons to take out of it. I still think Collingwood are deserved flag favourites. I still think Collingwood will win the flag. What, in regards to Carlton, another tick, I'm going to say, on 2 different fronts. Another tick to the coach, another tick to their senior leaders.
Well, your contested ball was, I think you were plus 40 at the end of the game.
That's just absurd.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of.
So that shows you, looking at that, you walk out of that game saying, Carlton were just hungrier for the footy. And it was evident for me. I didn't go to the game.
Yeah.
It was really evident on the TV. Like every 50-50 ball, Carlton was just winning and they'd constantly have it in their forward half.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone spoke about, is there a blueprint to beat Collingwood? I'm not sure whether, it might get taken out of context. Carlton won the game. I don't think there's a blueprint or you need a blueprint to beat anyone. It goes to show you how far mental application goes. If you apply yourself to the contest, if you're hard at the contest, and when you have the ball, what you do with it, and in my opinion, what you do without the ball. So when the opposition has the ball, it's what can the team do defensively to stop that opposition team from progressing the ball, and Carlton showed it.
Yeah,
Collingwood could not move the ball. Any possession,
a
lot of possessions that Collingwood had were under pressure, and that's a credit to Carlton. But you mentioned about the narrative 2 weeks ago about Brodie Grundy not coming back into the narrative behind Grundy being dropped and how it's worked for Melbourne and all this and that. I'm going to mention too, the narrative from what I've seen coming out of the media this week has been, Collingwood are gettable. Well, no, I think it's more about how Carlton played. It's not about how lackluster Collingwood were.
Yeah, Carlton were good. I walk away from that game saying Collingwood outplayed. And you want to look at the positives, I think Collingwood had 4 more inside 50s, and I think they had 4 more scoring shots. And I love our boy Daniel Hoyne.
Yeah.
I think
what's he got to say for
from
himself?
expected scores,
which mean nothing,
right? Expected scores from set shots.
We had Collingwood to win.
Collingwood was to win 91 to 79 or something like that. Expected score, right? They go, to performance and the angle and all those things.
The same guy that had Nick Martin in top 5 players of the AFL.
That's the same goal.
Yeah, same guy. Okay, right. I don't want to throw shade on what Daniel Hoyne said.
I'm just taking a positive for Collingwood. Absolutely. And then you look at, I would have hated for Collingwood to win that game because they didn't deserve to win it.
Yeah.
And I think when you lose a game of footy, you analyse it more what went wrong. Where if Collingwood pinched it, it's another game they pinch and you don't...
Sneaks under the radar
and you don't look at things that you weren't doing correctly.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good loss to have just before the pointy end. But it'd be interesting to see how Collingwood play this week. What their reaction is and how they perform. Because if it's another shaky win, well then
Well, for what it's worth, I think that game on Friday night. I mean, look, in horse racing terms, we say it's a good form race. I'm going to use that analogy in this game. I think the game we saw on Friday night at the MCG moving forward is going to be a hot form game. I think you can follow both teams with confidence moving forward. I'm not too concerned about what Collingwood did, and I was super impressed again with what Carlton did.
With injuries too.
Yeah, another blow with Adam Cherry out.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a big out.
Yep. Anyway, we'll move on. Geelong Fremantle Saturday. I was mentioning the ladder predictor.
This game's just thrown...
We've
had Geelong in our top 5.
Oh, yeah.
We've been bullish on them. They're coming, they're coming.
They are.
And they're just shoved it in our face.
Giving us
and they've
the
stuffed up my ladder predictor. It was a good result for you, though, for Carlton. It's a great result.
I know, because at one stage, even though we beat you guys, the two teams had Geelong 1 and the other 2 teams that are above us in 5th and 6th. GWS and St Kilda. Carlton still would have been out of the 8. Or Carlton would have been 8th.
Yep.
Just. But, yeah, look, I thought Fremantle were hot. Did you get a chance to watch much of this game?
I watched a little bit. But Geelong just...
It was Geelong's
they got to
funeral.
go through their motions, Geelong.
I reckon in Paul Sebastiani terms, that was Geelong's funeral.
You reckon they're done?
Done. Cast.
It's almost a must win now.
I'm even writing them off. It's not about whether
I don't think they win the flag now.
Yeah, I've conceded they cannot win. I'm going to eat my humble pie, mate, and say they can't win the flag. I don't know how you lose
to Fremantle. The reason Geelong is off this year is they've lost twice at GMHBA to interstate teams.
Which is a rarity.
They don't lose there, do they? When was the last time they lost there before this year?
You know what? It's funny because I know they only really verse interstate teams there, or they verse not minnow clubs with a small fan base, Melbourne or Essendon. No, but in all seriousness, I have noticed interstate teams do have a good record there. GWS have knocked them off. Port Adelaide and Freo have knocked them off.
Port have got a good record there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, it's hard to quantify because not a lot of Melbourne teams verse them there, except for the minnow clubs like Melbourne and Essendon. But anyway, look, I think that's season over. Tom Hawkins.
When you mean season over, you're riding him out of the 8s?
No, I'm riding them off the flag.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to hop back on. Like they can sneak into the 8. Still think they can cause problems. I don't think they can go all the way.
Geelong Carlton elimination final.
Love that.
Geez, that would be great.
I'm not thinking that far ahead, mate. But look, Tom Hawkins gone. Mark Blitzov's gone. You make of it whatever
they reckon
you want.
Hawkins, he's only a week. They're going to be training by the end of this week.
Impossible, mate. He's not 25, mate. I can categorically tell you that he's untrue. It's not going to be a week. And Geelong, you're relying on Geelong's injury report.
Well, short term, medium term, long term.
Come on, man.
They are a joke, aren't they?
Oh, mate, it's so untruthful. There should be an inquiry.
I find them a real arrogant club.
They should be an integrity unit assigned to their medical team because they literally take the piss. And Carlton's bad, Geelong's worse.
Geelong is worse. I just find them real arrogant this year.
Mars Stadium, Paul. Same time.
This
GWS,
result really shocked me. I think this result put the Giants almost a notice call on the comp,
which we're going to speak about in our next segment.
Which just come from nowhere because the last time I watched the Giants,
you guys beat them on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then the next time after that I watched them, Hawthorn ran them to 2 goals or a goal. And now they just keep winning. No matter who they verse, they just grind the game out.
They won at 9, some ridiculous stat, 9 different stadiums.
I saw that.
That's pretty impressive.
What are the 9? Where are they? So Mars.
You think they're in interstate
Who they played
team.
at Etihad?
Of course they have. Yeah, they've played at Marvel.
Who they beat there?
I don't think yeah, they have. The MCG, I think, might be the only stadium that
they haven't won at this year.
Don't think they've beaten anyone. They versed you guys there. Don't know. And the other stat I've read is they've been trailing at 3/4 time a certain amount of games, and they've just conquered it all. The Bulldogs, as good as the Giants were, can we make it known? Can we please make it known here that the Bulldogs were up by a significant margin in this game?
24.
I reckon they absolutely bottled it.
Yeah,
it would have been close to 5 goals. I don't have the exact number. I know it was early days, and 5 goals in 2023 AFL is nothing, but that's a bit of a bottle job.
Yeah, with the list they've got a talented list. They've got a really talented list.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to disagree with you there. I don't think their list is as good as what people are expecting of them.
Really?
100%. Like,
you know where they lack?
Their defense is a makeshift.
I agree.
Their defense is a makeshift defense. Their midfield, aside from Bontempelli, do not damage you. Yes, they're accumulators. Your McRae's of the world. Your Liberatores of the world. Right? Their wingers, look, Bailey Dale, good player. Right? Bontempelli, excellent player. Generational talent.
Like I like Libba.
I'm not saying I don't like him. I've got a.
But you don't think he's damaging? I reckon he's contested.
He's contested footy. He's an accumulator. They grow on trees, mate. They grow.
I reckon he complements the Bont.
Okay. I agree. I'm just going to say I think Libba is a better version of Darcy Parish. Make of it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, their forward line's lackluster. Jamara's turning out to be a player. He's honestly probably been their best.
He has.
Between him and Bont. Look, Tim English is touted as, his start to his year was good. I mean,
Norton's been hot and cold.
I'm telling you, I'm through with this Aaron Norton talk. He should not listen. He should not be mentioned in the same breath as some of the players that he does.
I think Ugelhagen's gone past him.
Completely agree.
And
Rory Lobb's there. Rory Lobb's there for fun. He's there for fun. He's there for fun.
Statue of shit, right? Does he have cement in his boots? He can't move.
He's no good.
Yeah,
he's no good. But at the same time, I don't want to be quick to have a go at Rory Lobb because there is an element like Luke Beveridge has some questionable tactics. He likes to throw the magnets around or punch the magnet board. So shadow box, whatever it is.
Broken
hand. But no, look, Luke Beveridge has some questionable tactics. So, I mean, I'm not trying to throw these players under the bus because I know some of them are in that team or in any AFL team to do a role. But, I mean, I'm not a subscriber to their list being as, they've got a good list. No, I'd have a look at it in depth. It's not that good.
Well, I think they lack in their defensive half. But I think if you look at their forward half, they've got the players there.
Yeah.
I reckon their midfield's fine. I don't think that's an issue.
Sure.
You have seen this year they can play good footy.
No,
they played against
100%. Yeah,
they played against Collingwood really well. They've dropped lots of games with a lead, and they
in winning positions. That's not signs of it to me. Okay, I agree with that, and you're not wrong. But to me, that is not indicative of a good side.
It's not, but it's a sign of talent that they can match it with the best.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, fair call.
That's it. But they don't. They leak goals. There's a lot of times they leak 4 or 5 goals in a row.
It's going to be harder now that Josh Bruce is out.
They've got no stocks down back.
They got Alex
Liam
Keith,
Jones.
He's cast. Anyway.
Yeah, I think they could be the ones.
I still think they can make the 8. I just don't know how damaging they're going to be, which we're going to get to. We'll get to it later.
With Keith Bruce and Liam Jones out, I don't know.
Is Alex Keith out as well?
I thought he pulled up sore out of that game.
Josh Bruce is cast.
He's done.
Is that the second year? That's a shame.
That is, yeah. It's his different knee
from the one he did against Essendon in that game at Marvel.
Correct.
Okay.
So they might have to bring Darcy.
I don't know what they're going to do. Anyway, here we go. Another one where...
Did you have any tips right by this point, by Saturday Arvo? Or you would have tipped Carlton?
I tipped Carlton and I tipped GWS.
Okay.
I didn't tip Fremantle, and I definitely did not tip the Gold Coast Suns. Like, we're talking... Okay, I want to explain to you something. When Brisbane were fighting for second spot, right? Can we put under the microscope, or can we magnify or speak about the importance of having, especially in a tightly contended year, for a team like Brisbane to have a home final? So you're fighting for second spot, which, for what it's worth, considering the next game in Adelaide, Port Adelaide dropped.
It was almost like
it's ridiculous.
Collingwood bottle it. So it's up to Brisbane or Port to narrow the gap. Brisbane lose. Port say, "Oh, well, we can narrow the gap on Collingwood." Port lose.
And then we've got the bolters that come out on the Sunday, which we'll
go to that.
We'll get to who
I was disappointed with the Lions. The Lions was really disappointing because they need a home final.
Did you watch much of this game?
I did watch a little bit. Yeah,
I'll be honest. I didn't watch a lot of it. I was too focused on other things.
Watching Carlton highlights.
No.
All day.
Somewhat true. This was very, very interesting. I did see the highlights. The problem is when I watch the highlights, I'm completely honest, they only show you the goals, and you know, I try and watch as much football as possible. I watched 5 complete games this week. This was not one of them. To me,
I just thought it was important.
That's a drubbing, 41 points.
Chris Fagan came out and said, "Oh, we don't really care about home finals. We've got to make finish top 4." And
that's bullshit.
Listen, dickhead, you haven't won at the G for 13. You need a home final, right? If I'm the Lions, I think what have they won? They've won their last 13 at the Gabba, and they haven't lost. They haven't won at the G.
They've won once in a semi-final against Melbourne.
Shit, dickhead, you'd want to play at the G. How dumb! You think we're stupid?
Yeah,
right. Right, don't give us that shit that we can go to the G and win. You're not going to go to the G and win.
Yeah,
that's a tough loss. That's a really bad one for them.
As funny as it sounds, and as I said, we'll look at it in the September run. Somehow, I still think these blokes are going to get second spot. Anyway,
Brisbane,
yeah, they will. Watch.
I think Port are going to bottle it. And I said this.
As I said.
4 weeks ago. Can we go next week and pull up that footage? I said they can be chased down.
I'm going to give you your flowers for the Sunday games. I'm going to make a comment. But before we get there, let's quickly speak about Essendon and Sydney. Sydney kept their season a lot. Like, you just can't kill them, man. Sydney are literally...
I fucking said...
Sydney are hanging by a thread.
When you did the run home a couple of weeks ago, I said, put Sydney in and we cut him out. I said, because they'll come home.
Yeah.
And I'd said, Essendon going to... I've got these ones right outside the 8. And, yeah, Essendon have bottled it big time. That's it. Forget about it. They're not going to make it. I think they need to beat Giants in up there.
Essendon's cast.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're speaking about them. Essendon now, it's whether they finish 11th or 12th or 13th and what draft pick they get. They're cast. Paul, they're cast. It's done. They're done.
They're not.
They're not, though. They're cast. Ridley's cast, mate. Stringer's got it a duck, mate. I'm telling you, Essendon are cast. They're going to win the next 2 games. I know.
Right. And then they just got to win one more, I think.
Impossible. No, it's no. We'll speak about it.
It's not because if Fremantle can beat Geelong in GDM,
I'm telling you,
impossible.
Mate, it's an anomaly.
I don't think they're going to make it.
I'm not relying on it.
I don't think they're going to make it, but they can. They can.
Well, we're going to speak about it soon, but look, we'll move on. We'll go to the showdown
of the weekend.
Like Tex Walker, 7 goals in this, keeping the pressure on Charlie Curnow. By the way, isn't that Coleman medal going to be hot? I'm going to make a bold
statement. Doesn't he verse West Coast?
Yeah, he
last
does. Game? A lot of water going to the bridge.
Well, Curnow, if he does win the Coleman, can thank the umpires on Friday night.
You got no
4 goals from free kicks.
This is the funny thing, right? I've told you this, man. Good defenders don't give away free kicks.
We're not talking about defenders. Right, Charlie, go wrap your medal around the umpire in round 20, dickhead. Right.
No worries. We'll make sure to thank the umpires when Nick Dacos gets the brown.
Thank you very much.
Okay, look, Port Adelaide were they bottled it. Yeah, I mean, no knock on Adelaide. I mean, Adelaide were hot. Adelaide were good. Adelaide were there to play.
This was a sign for me.
Yeah.
When I saw Collingwood's performance Friday,
you thought Port Adelaide could be in strife.
Port Adelaide could be in strife as well.
You're going to say that. Yeah.
And this result doesn't surprise. Look, I did think Port was going to win, but it's another reason to say, well, both teams cooked. But look, fuck Adelaide. They just keep themselves alive. Because I didn't pencil them to win this one.
And they feature in our September run. We're going to speak about them. Saints and Hawks on Sunday. I mean, I can't believe this. Like, I've got nothing against St Kilda.
They're just going to make the
I tell you what, mate, they are a roadblock. You know what they are? They're the...
What do you mean roadblock?
Mate, this is what they are. St Kilda is the... I'm trying to think of the best way to describe... St Kilda is the detour when you're in traffic. So... St Kilda is the red light. When you're going 40 and go, fuck, I needed to make that. St Kilda is the red light that makes you stop. That's what St Kilda are. They're just a roadblock. They're an obstacle.
9 goals in the first quarter.
Yeah, St Kilda played in spurts. I actually did watch this game. Hawthorn took it to them.
They did. Hawthorn hung in there, which is nice.
29 points is flattering. I thought St Kilda played in patches. They got a lot of injuries, though, the Saints. And this is what I mean. Like, they're just hanging. They're hanging in there. They got a lot of injuries, man. Go have a look at their injury list.
That all makes room.
Caminiti's cast. He's knocked someone. Caminiti punched.
So I didn't catch this game.
Caminiti threw
another one. He's already got 3 weeks.
Mate, he threw hands in Sicily.
Did he?
Mate, he got a week.
Yeah, okay.
So they took care of business. What I thought was...
Will they get King back, I think, this week?
Nah, I don't think he'll play.
I reckon they...
Nah, he will not play.
Bring him back for Carlton.
I don't think he'll play. St Kilda's in a spot. I'm telling you, I don't think he'll play. We'll see how we go. Today's Tuesday. Who knows what's going to happen? Sunday, 3:20 MCG.
Oh.
This was the game I was most looking forward to, aside from the Carlton-Collingwood game.
We're not going to review the last game.
No, we're not.
Let's just talk more about this one. Cares. This game, I actually watched this game.
Yeah.
Halfway through the second quarter, I was thinking Melbourne is shit.
How many times have we said that about the D's, mate?
And I'm like, Richmond's going to roll them. I think that scoreline's flattered. I don't think it was a 32-point game.
Completely agree. But I think what it symbolises is how quick Melbourne can pour it on. They can go.
Yeah, I agree.
For somewhat of a mate, whatever everyone wants to call it. And I'm one of them.
Melbourne's clicking.
Yeah. What we're going to speak about in the Who's Cooking.
I want to see more from them because they play, I think, they got North and then I think they play Carlton.
Well, this is the part where I go on my knees and I don't propose to you with a wedding ring, but I go on my knees and I give you the flowers. When you said after Brodie Grundy got dropped, you don't think he's going to come back in the team, and you were speaking about how Melbourne play better or will play better without him. So, Paul Italiano... Good call. You were right.
Well, Gordon's playing 100% ruck. He's not even playing forward.
Did you see when the game was on the line, Richmond were in a formidable position in that game and your Max Gawn just went, I'm ripping this apart. I'm taking it away from him.
He was good.
He was one of a few. Harrison Petty.
Yeah, even Gawn, I think Melbourne were on the ropes late in the second quarter. And
they kicked a couple of goals late just before half time.
And then Gawn took a couple marks in the defensive 50, just almost just hold the fort, get to half time. Then they reset and they were.
He's an ultimate competitor, Max Gawn. You know what? I just quickly on the Ds, I watched that game with a lot of intent and I noticed something. They have a lot of fucking competitors, man. Guys that just don't like losing. I'm talking. Nah, I'm serious. They are competitive beasts.
They're just.
I'm going to reel off some names. I'll start from the back line. Stephen May, Jake Lever. They're going to go to the midfield. Jack Viney, right?
Viney's my favourite.
Christian Petrarca, Max Gawn. I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go their forward line. Jake Melksham. I mean,
competes. He competes.
But they're just competitive beasts. They don't like lose. Like, I don't know how to explain. Like, some players have got it in them where, look, I understand the moment every player crosses the line, right? Every time the siren goes, it's on for young and old, yeah? Everyone's a competitor. The guys that I've just mentioned at Melbourne, they just have another gear of competitiveness in them. And I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to articulate myself, but I'm hoping that you and the viewer sort of understand what I'm getting at. Those Melbourne guys, mate, they don't give you an inch.
Yeah,
they are genuine. Honestly, I would hate to verse them. I would hate to come up against them.
Well, they're a contested team,
heavily,
and so is Carlton, which is why I'm really looking forward to
Saturday night game.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that game because there'll be a bit on the line for that game.
Well, as you said, we're not going to speak about the last game. So what we're going to do is going to quickly move on and speak about the Giants. We mentioned them earlier. Giant killers, giant sleepers, whatever you want to call them. The facts of the matter are they've won 7 in a row. Every week they've answered the question. They go in, right? They don't go in as short price favourites. They had a bit of a little mini blip against Hawthorn where they stumbled over the line a couple of weeks ago or last week, whenever it was. They're just getting the job done. They've won 7 in a row. I'm certainly not sleeping on them. I respect everything that they're doing. I don't think they can go all the way, but what I will say is, I'll tell you what, like, you're never going to be comfortable in a game against them. You might be 2-3 goals up. You might think you got it under control. They are the little snake that bites you, like little venomous bite at your ankles that you don't even see coming. They're operating in the shadows.
Their defense, I'll read you their last 6 scores their opposition scored. 36.
So hang on. So the last six games, the scores that GWS have conceded.
You know what? We'll go their 7. Their 7-game winning streak.
Right, go ahead.
75.
Yep.
36. 45. 72. 57. 63. 73.
That must have them in the top 2. Because I know Carlton's 3rd. That must have them.
So must have them scored over 75 points against them. And to hold, the one that stands out for me is they held Adelaide to 57 points at home.
At home, who are an offensive unit. They're an offensive weapon, Adelaide. So correct. That's on the back of players like Sam Taylor.
Yeah,
they got a good mix there. Connor, I know. Look, a lot of them are unheralded, but like your Connor Idens of the world, who looks like Gabby Jesus, and Sam Taylor.
I like
to name a few. And they're rebounders too, like, you know, Himmelberg's a swingman. They're a lot of unheralded players that they've got. They're getting the job done. That's a team that's buying in. They're getting the job done, and I'll tell you, I only think now they've come to opposition's attention. I'm not saying people are taking them easy, but I'm very certain now that a lot of other opposition clubs that are going to be versing them in the last 4 weeks. Starting none with Sydney, because Sydney are a good tactical side, so Sydney will do their homework.
Well, that's a huge game.
Oh, mate, we'll speak about it soon. But it's.
I think it almost makes your run home harder now, Carlton, because you.
We were versing them.
Mate, 2 weeks ago, I looked at it, I said, oh, well, GWS at home, you win that. You know, but now you look at it, this game now is different. You look at that game and it's not as easy as you think.
Nothing's gonna get given to you. We saw that we're seeing it in the last 3 weeks. One thing I think that is evident is if you're off 5%, it's becoming. Look, it's happened the whole year, But I just reckon the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's more evident that if you're off by 5 or 10%, you're gone.
Teams will get you.
You're gone.
Yep.
Like, you can't rock up not on your game. And I think GWS have shown that to a couple of teams. I think a couple of teams, like, I'll be honest, I reckon Bulldogs were very lazy and disrespectful to them in a certain way. Like,
well, they
especially
thought
on
they had it
Saturday.
wrapped up. Some of their defensive efforts were awful.
I mean,
the Dogs, like the Giants, got out the back.
You're up by 5 goals. Like, I know it's nothing in the context, considering it was like in the second quarter or half time, but like playing at Mars Stadium and Giants made a mess of them. Like, I don't know. I'm not sleeping on them. I'm worried about them.
Oh, really?
No, I'm not worried about them in terms of a grand final, a premiership.
I'm interested to see their run home when we go over it.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, why don't we go on to that? Why don't we put the ladder up first for the guys and girls to see it at home? So this is our September run segment. I'm going to put the ladder up for you right now. Collingwood on top. 3 weeks ago we said second position was locked up. Credit to you, Paul. You said Port Adelaide were vulnerable, and here they are.
They're vulnerable.
Brisbane had the opportunity.
They still do.
No disrespect to Gold Coast, but I think people were expecting Brisbane to seize that opportunity. And they didn't. Melbourne sitting in fourth. My boy, Melbourne is going to be, I think, in a tussle for second position. St Kilda's fifth, hanging on by a thread. GWS sixth. Carlton seventh. Bulldogs eighth. Geelong ninth. Sydney, etc. You can read the rest. I reckon the only teams here that we need to worry about in terms of finishing in the top 8. I've
goes all the way to goal. Couldn't the goal
no
get in the 8?
Excuse me.
What? I'd love to know. Well, we're going to run home.
I've included Essendon and Gold Coast in there, primarily because they're on the same points as Adelaide. But I can tell you now,
Gold Coast have a tough run home.
I can tell you now. I think Adelaide, from the teams that are on 36 points, which is essentially only game out of the 8 if you're looking at it, Adelaide's the only team that can make the 8. Right? So Carlton's 7th, Bulldogs 8th, Geelong 9th. You can't write anyone off, in my opinion, beyond 12. Like, I know, as I said, I'll reiterate, I know Essendon and Gold Coast are there sitting the same points as Adelaide, but I just can't see either of those two clubs, given the way that they're performing. They're just unreliable.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the ladder? What do you think of the top 4?
Adelaide.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Adelaide's run home. Gold Coast, then they play Brisbane, they play Sydney.
Well, do you want to? What we'll do is we'll get rid of the ladder,
and then they play the Eagles in the last round.
So we're going to get rid of the ladder. We're going to put up the run home, which is basically teams from 5th to 12th, round 21 through to round 24. St Kilda's job doesn't get easy. GWS's job is definitely not easy. Although, to be honest with you, just looking at it,
if they win this week,
I'm just having a look at it, right? So GWS and Bulldogs are teams that are currently in the 8. GWS and Bulldogs, in my opinion, have the easiest run. I know we say the word easy and that gets thrown around lightly. Nothing's easy. We understand that. But on paper, if you're going to, suppose if you want to put it as games that you're projecting a team to win, I think GWS and Bulldogs have got games there where they're projected to win. I expect the Bulldogs to win their next 3. I'm not.
Who wins this Friday? Dogs Richmond. That's a tough game.
We'll get to that, but just have a look, Paul. Like, is there anyone there outside of the 8 so we can see there?
I'm looking at Geelong's run. Port, Collingwood, Saints, Dogs.
None of them are away.
Port at GHB
I think
if
Stadium.
Geelong lose this week, they don't make the 8.
So you're saying that Port's going to lose 4 in a row?
I think Geelong beat Port this week. Yeah. Do you think Port get up?
I haven't thought that far ahead. I haven't looked. I don't know. If I give you an answer, I'm guessing at this stage.
Yeah, I think Geelong wins. I think Geelong win.
So let's
Adelaide is the one for me.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about because I know you
wrote them off.
I know you love speaking about them, and I enjoy watching them play.
They're good to watch.
What do you think about them? They're sitting 12th there. 36 points to remember.
Before 3 weeks ago,
I
thought that was certainty to make the 8. And they dropped a couple games that they should have won. Like the Giants game, they should have won.
In the Essendon game, they fucked up.
Yeah, and the Essendon game.
I reckon they replay that Essendon game another 4 times or 5 times. I reckon they win 4 of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They dominated the second half. But then they snatched one they weren't meant to win. They beat Port, and now they play the Suns at home.
They'll win that.
Win that. Lions away.
They're not
They're not
going to beat them.
And they probably beat the Swans and they beat the Eagles. So they win their last 3 out of 4.
Okay, so last 3 out of 4 puts them on 48. Last 3 out of 4 puts them on 48 points. I can tell you now. They're on 36.
Yep.
So they win 3 out of their next 4, puts them on 48. In any other year, 12 wins would get you into the 8.
Might not get you there this year.
Well, it's going to be touch and go. So I want to point.
Their percentage kills them.
No, their percentage is much better than the teams above them.
No, I'm looking to run.
No, their percentage is much
16.
better.
So
they're much better than 11th, 10th, and 9th.
They might be fighting for 8th spot.
Okay, my question is, I just want to point your attention to the team above them, Richmond. This is their season this week.
They have to win. This game's stuffing me up in my ladder predictor. I think
it's at Marvel, yeah. It's not.
Yeah, they don't play good at Marvel.
Oh well, we know their supporters don't like rocking up.
Yeah, they don't like rocking up.
Then they got St Kilda, which is probably also going to be at Marvel, if I'm not wrong, because last time they versed them was at the G.
Correct.
On that in Cochin's.
It was that rainy
Cochin's 300th or whatever.
Yep.
It's a Saturday night. I remember. I was watching on my phone. I had a pretty good bet on
the
Saints
on
that night.
Saints?
Yeah, I did.
And the rain came down.
The rain came down. I knew they were fucked.
Yeah.
I was watching it at a birthday party. I was sick.
I reckon you don't know what you're going to get from the Saints. They've been lurking in that 5th spot for about 6 weeks.
The one thing I'm going to say about St Kilda, considering we're talking about them in relevance because they're versing Richmond next week, is despite how a lot of criticism has been pointed towards how they're playing and how they're ambling over the line, in actuality, Paul, they're sitting in 5th position, mate. Like, there's things that you can't argue. You can argue that they're not playing their best footy, and there's a lot to be left for question if you want to put it, and how relevant and how good are they in the 8? But in actuality, the facts of the matter are they're sitting in 5th position.
Yeah.
So
I think they started they're starting to trajectory go back up.
The one thing I will say about St Kilda, I agree. I think they've still got another gear. Like, I think the last
They've
3 or
dropped
4
their form.
I agree, but I don't think they're as bad as what they're showing. Like, so I know the ladder position probably doesn't reflect their current form, but what the ladder position does reflect is, in my opinion, where they're going to end. I'm not saying they're going to end up 5th, so please don't take it out of context. But I think it's a true reflection of how they've gone for the whole year. Like, you can't, just because other teams around them, or just because all the dominoes are falling around them and they're like the last man standing, like, you can't blame them for that.
They banked wins early.
Yeah.
They banked some big wins early. Simple as that.
There is a possibility as well, though, we need to address with St Kilda, is that just looking at their last 4 games, they're every chance to lose every one of them. They're all coin flip games. The last one, they're not beating Brisbane. I'm telling you, they're not beating. But I'm telling you, they're not beating Brisbane away in round 24.
No,
especially
Brisbane's
going to be fighting for second
at the Gabba.
Yeah, but their next 3 games,
Geelong, Richmond,
they can either win all of them or win none of. Like, they are coin flip games.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Where does Carlton finish? Are you confident in where does Carlton lose?
Do you want the truth? Do you want an answer to the question? I just don't know if you can think I'm being a smartass.
No.
We won't lose another home and away game.
You'll win the last 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
The only game I would say that's in question is the Suns away game. Although the Suns away game, initially my fears were, is it a night game? It's not. It's a day game. I dislike that the Queensland dewy twilight or night games. I think you'll find a lot of opposition.
Does Carlton winning the last 4 get them to the top 4?
It's circumstantial to how the teams in fourth and third and second go. I'm going to say no.
Wouldn't it?
I look.
Could you imagine
honestly,
a Collingwood Carlton
I'm going to be real.
final?
I'm going to be real here. Yeah, the only game I genuinely see Carlton losing is the Suns away game. I think we'll beat Melbourne.
You reckon you'll beat Melbourne?
Yeah, I do.
Melbourne will just click. Oh, I'm looking forward to that game.
Look, I know we've got
no, Carlton, every chance to lose this week.
We've got a roadblock against.
Is that at Marvel?
It's every chance. I'll tell you what's going to beat Carlton.
Well, you were in this position last year.
Does that make sense to you? The only team that can beat Carlton this week.
Carlton's their own worst enemy, right?
St Kilda, talent wise, they can try and stifle Carlton and try and stop them in their tracks as much as they want. If Carlton can rise above and find other ways and realise that St Kilda's going to, they need to be patient this week. I think this week could be a low scoring game. I don't see Carlton kicking more than 15 goals. I can tell you now.
It's going to be an interesting game. It's been interesting to see how you bounce back. And you'll
back
see,
from what?
No,
6 wins?
No, hang on. Wait. It's interesting to see.
Back from what?
Right. Friday was a high intensity game.
A 9-day break helps, but I know what I think. Hang on.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I do, man. I get what you're saying. And this is the thing. The old Carlton, this would be a loss.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, I think
you'll win though.
I think as you experienced on Friday night, I think you're dealing with a different beast. This is
the Blues.
It's a different beast, mate.
I think you've got short-term memory loss from last year when you lost your last 4. Because you've already been in this position.
I can categorically tell you that
when you got
I do not have short-term memory loss, and I apologise to interrupt you, but I think it's prudent to. I do not have short-term memory loss.
You've got to win your last. How many do you have to win?
Hang on
to make the 8?
I love these debates.
Can you drop? I
think we can drop 2 of our last 4 and still make the 8.
So you can drop another 2 still.
Yeah. So currently, what does it stand? We're on 40 points, 42 points, right? So 42 points, which takes, if we get 2 wins out of last, takes us to 12.5 wins, which is 50 points.
That gets you there.
In any other year, you're guaranteed 5th position. This is not any other year.
No, it's not.
But if we're saying that 12 wins potentially gets you to the 8, 50 points definitely gets you into the 8. That half game, especially if we look at Sydney and Richmond, who are the only other teams with a half game, that half game might be the difference.
I think 50 gets you there.
I tell you what, I reckon
you can't lose your last.
I reckon 6th and 7th spot. I'm going to be real. I reckon the teams in the 8 at the moment, I reckon it stays the same. I just don't know in what position.
So Geelong don't make
the 8.
I reckon Sydney can make it for me. They're my X factor.
Sydney.
Yeah, they can beat the Giants. They can beat the Suns.
They
the
can't
Crows
beat the
will
Crows
lose.
away.
But the Demons at home, they can win. At SCG, they can beat anyone.
Well, I mean, every game, as we say it week in, week out, as we have been saying it for the last 3 or 4 weeks, every game is consequential.
If you watch footy this week, last weekend, anything can happen. And how can you predict the last 4 rounds? I can't say I'll tip fucking 2 winners for the weekend.
All we're doing, Paul, is making an educated guess. Although I don't guess, you know what I mean?
You know.
I definitely don't guess. Some guess, others know. No, in all seriousness, we can make a projection. I'm not into predictions. I know you're not.
Yeah.
What we're doing is making a projection of what we're projecting to occur.
I think.
And I tell you what, I hope at some stage that we're wrong. And the reason why I hope is because it adds more theatre.
It does.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Carlton beating Collingwood's almost cemented your spot in the 8. Well, now you just have to beat the teams you're meant to beat.
I agree. I think it starts with this week. Anyway, look, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our Who's Cooking segment. Now, I'm going to need you here, Paul, because I know mine's had a bit of jigging and jagging and whatever you want to call it. I'm going to get your top 5 teams, Mr. Paul Italiano, starting from, don't start at 5, start at 1.
Yeah, you're going to be a little bit confused. Yeah. Collingwood, Melbourne, leapfrog to 2.
Yep.
Port to 3, Lions to 4, and I've got a play-in.
Hang on, so you've got an equal 5th.
I've got an equal 5th. I can't split it at the moment. And I'll give you the Chockies. You called it last week. The Giants and the Blues are my 5th play-in.
My brother, you ridiculed me last week for having Carlton in my top 5.
It's a good call.
Aren't there any other teams that are better than Carlton? No.
Well, it's a good call.
There is not. I like your top 5. Mine's very similar. Collingwood, number 1, nothing to be concerned about. Still think they're clearly the best team in the comp. However, number 2, Melbourne. I've come around to this mob. I was a bit concerned.
Let's see.
They're number 2. Clearly number 2. Brisbane number 3, Port Adelaide number 4, Carlton number 5. No disrespect, GWS. If anything, I could be the same as you for 5th position. For the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to have Carlton as 5th.
That last round game could be where you play if you get in a home final or an away.
It could be the difference, in my opinion. I know people are saying it could be the game that determines if Carlton makes the 8. On the contrary, I think both teams in that last game will make the 8.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a matter of who plays where.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's mine. Could have done the same as you, as I said. Carlton and GWS split for 5th. I'm going to stick with the Blues. This is the second week they sit in 5th. I do think they are the fifth best team in the comp. But, yeah, Paul, your top 5 players.
Nicky D. He's had quite 2 weeks, but he's still 1.
Yep.
The Truck at 2.
Yep.
Bont at 3.
Yep.
Toby Green at 4. Jeez, he's good. Jeez, he could. If Nick Dacos wasn't at 1, I could almost put him 1. And I've still gone with Merritt at 5.
Fair call. Hit me back. I got Nick Dacos number 1. He's dwindling like he's.
There's no Carlton player, is there, in your top 5?
There is. Sure. I hope the camera's got you. Where's the joke? You haven't even heard who it is. Oh, God. Would you be surprised if I said it's like Matt Cottrell?
No, not from you, no.
All right, so Nick Dacos, number 1. Christian Petrarca, number 2. My boy, he's my word. He's coming. He's coming hot, man. Like I've got Nick Dacos 5 points ahead at the Brownlow at this stage. Nick Dacos hasn't polled a vote in the last 2 games, I can tell you.
Agreed.
He has not. This guy, Christian Petrarca's last 4 weeks, he's minimum of 9.
Yep.
I can guarantee you for a fact, from rounds 17 through to 20, so that's 17, 18, 19, and 20, Christian Petrarca will poll 9 votes.
Yep.
Minimum. Toby Green, number 3, I echo your thought. Like, this guy's just he's out of this world. The stuff he's able to do, like...
The goals he kicks under pressure.
It's unheard of. Like, the stuff how does he do it? Marcus Bontempelli, number 4, and Charlie Curnow, number 5. Or number 5, sorry. What's funny, mate? Like, is it so incredulous or hard?
How many goals he kicked in the last 3 weeks? I know he's kicked a few. He kicked 10 against West Coast.
Port Adelaide, he kicked 3 goals, 5 or something. He's unselfish. Mate, what? I know you want to say this and that.
No, he's kicked 19 goals in the last 3 weeks.
You do realise in the last 6 games how unselfish he's been.
No, I'm not bagging him. I genuinely, he's kicked 19 goals in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, possibly. Something like that.
So he's in good form.
Yeah.
It's good to have a forward in there, at least.
Do you know who was actually going to be in there? I contemplated it, were 2 players. I want to show some defenders some love. They're not in there, but Sam Taylor and Jacob Wiedering.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not your all? Oh, see, it's another conference. I don't want to speak about All Australian. Anyway.
We'll get to that maybe when the rounds start to come to an end.
Possibly 23, 24. Do you know also, just quickly before we move on to the round 20 preview, quick preview, by the way, is maybe in a couple of weeks we'll start speaking about a trade talk for our, we've got a lot of North Melbourne and West Coast viewers that watch the show and keep them entertained.
We've got to keep the viewers something to look forward to.
There's a good...
Especially those ones really low on the ladder.
I want to shout out to a guy you may know, but he's a good person, Luca Urso. He's a tragic North Melbourne supporter, and he mentioned to me, like, is there a chance you could make the show a bit more entertaining for me with some North Melbourne talk by introducing some trade talk?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Luca, they're shit. Right down the barrel, mate.
I thought it was funny. He's a good bloke. He knows what he's talking about. And I agree. I think maybe trade talk excites a lot of people. So I reckon we might bring it in a couple of weeks, maybe round 23, just a small little segment.
Or the break between finals and round
every
23,
possible chance
24,
which we work on. We might even get Paul Sebastiani on the show if he's available, just as a little cameo guest.
Get him back
to see if he's around.
Get him back.
Round 21 preview, I should say, Paul. Let's quickly get through it. Friday night. You already know what it is. Bulldogs v Richmond, Marvel. It's important to know the game's at Marvel. To me, it makes a big difference.
I'm going Richmond.
Oh, my boy. Oh, my God. Really? Do you want me to repeat the game and where it's at?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm going Richmond.
Okay. Fair call.
Who are you going?
Bulldogs.
Okay.
Do you really care?
West Coast.
Let's just go to Adelaide and Gold Coast.
Adelaide get the Chockies. Might be a little closer than people think, though.
Yeah. Okay. Adelaide as well. Hawks, Pies. You going to this game?
Maybe.
Okay. Who do you think wins?
I think so.
Yeah, Collingwood wins.
Collingwood, I think, win. Interesting to see how they come back.
Geelong Port, 7:25 GMHBA.
Big
My
game.
boy. I don't know. This is I'm going to go Cats.
I'm going Cats.
GWS Giants. And before we get onto it, I don't know how we missed it, and I apologise, but Lance Franklin has retired. I can't believe I've been so overwhelmed. I apologise,
I haven't been on the footy news. Like, can you inform me? Is he playing another game?
He's done. Retired effective. He's in the Gold Coast.
Oh, so
retired effective immediately.
Done.
Done. No more AFL.
What's he doing on the Gold Coast?
Use your imagination. I don't know what he's doing.
At Sinners.
I don't know what that is. Yannick Sinner.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing there, bro.
Flaring his nostrils up.
He's injured, but like, let's celebrate Buddy Franken just quickly.
Absolute freak.
I can't believe this guy. Like, the things, we're not going to see anything like him. And it's a shame.
Probably not again, no. I hope we do.
I wish we had the opportunity. You know what's funny? This is the second legend of the AFL that I can think. I know there's more, but the last one that comes to mind was Chris Judd. Chris Judd did his knee against Adelaide at the MCG, retired. Never saw him again. We didn't get a proper chance to say goodbye. Yeah. And this is another sad case where Lance Franklin.
Oh, he's not. What did he actually do?
His calf, second grade calf.
So he's out for the year. Would he?
Well, it's a 4 to 6 weeker, but he's not ruling out hope coming back though, mate. No, he's retired, but it's. I think he's seen the light.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they say 4 to 6 weeks for those type of injuries, it's probably closer to a set. Like for him and his body just can't cope.
I think calf's more of an older.
And it's a shame, yeah. So let's give Lance Franklin his flowers. He terrorized.
Boo.
No,
they used to boo him.
Don't be an idiot. That's a Collingwood scumbag.
That is what. Do you remember the old big talk about the boo with him this year? That was just blown up. He was booed because he was a champion.
I know. Because you wish you had him on your side.
Well, he used to tear Collingwood up.
He still did.
He still does. And he did. I'll tell you one thing that he won Sydney the prelim last year against Collingwood.
Yeah, I know. You nearly won the flag. Anyway, congratulations.
You nearly made the 8.
Yeah, good point. Fair call. We'll agree. We'll handshake on that one. That's fair enough. Congrats, buddy. Thanks for entertaining us, and thanks for terrorizing our teams,
absolute
mate.
Legend of the game.
Agreed. So moving on, GWS Sydney. I don't know. I'm not as. I know what we've said about the Giants is relevant. Sydney can cause them dramas. I think. Two stringent defenses. What do you think?
I'm going to go the Giants.
All right, I'm going to go Swans. Don't know, but I'm going to say Swans. Next game, Sunday, whatever. Let's move on to the 3:20 game. St Kilda, Carlton. Carlton come up pretty short here. I think the markets adjust. Like, Carlton were $1.35 on Sunday, Arvo.
Really?
Oh, it was too short. Ridiculous. Don't know. This is a game Carlton can drop. But do I see them dropping it as a Carlton fan? I think we're dealing, as I said earlier, with a different beast. I expect Carlton to win.
Without Shearer.
Yeah, what do you mean? Didn't have Walsh. We didn't have Kennedy. We didn't have fucking Mackay. We still beat you guys.
I'm going.
We didn't have Chera for a half. Of course, I know you're going to go for it. You're going to go for St Kilda. That's cool.
St Kilda win.
No issues. I knew that was coming.
No,
it's fair enough. It's plausible, mate. It's plausible.
I think they're going to win.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think it's Marvel.
It's their Christmas. It's their Christmas.
I just feel like they always beat
Carlton.
Carlton.
It's their Christmas. Yeah, it is. It's their Christmas. They love versing us. It's like North Melbourne love versing us.
Yeah,
that's right. I know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Cool.
Just like it's Carlton's Christmas when they play Collingwood at grand final.
Contain now, it's definitely not.
It is.
It's Carlton's
it's the only
Christmas.
time I see people on Instagram.
No, listen.
Yes.
We need to reiterate. We need to alter we need to alter the statement. It's Carlton's Christmas when we beat you in grand finals. That's our Christmas because you've never beaten us in a granny.
Well, how can we beat you? Well, how can we beat you in a granny when you never make the finals, you dickhead?
But we've beaten you. We've beaten you 5 times or something.
Constantly versing interstate clubs every year.
I say you got it easy. St Kilda's not much of a club in a grand final.
They're all right.
Anyway,
they bottle it too. Nick Griil, dickhead.
It's the second time he's been tackled from behind.
Yeah, yep.
Fremantle, Brisbane, who wins? This is the toughest trip in AFL football, mate, going from Brisbane to Perth. What's going on?
I think
they need their passports, mate. It's an hour flight.
Surely Brisbane win, don't they?
They do. Brisbane will win. Brisbane will win.
Yeah, I think Brisbane win.
All right. We'll wrap it up there.
Mate.
That's been good. Thanks for coming on. To all our viewers, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. You'll see us again same time next Tuesday. Thanks for joining in and have a great week ahead.